Let's talk a trade rumor. The New York Rangers testing the market with Keandre Miller. Could Seattle be a landing place? Let's talk about why probably not.
You are Locked On Kraken, your daily podcast on the Seattle Kraken.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, my little monsters, or those are Lady Gaga fans. But either way, welcome to another episode of Locked On Kraken, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we bring you your favorite team, the Seattle Kraken, every single day. Erica L. Ayala here, coming to you almost immediately after covering the Women's College World Series. What an odd turn of events in game one. I'll be back there for game two. I mostly cover women's basketball and ice hockey for CBS Sports, but every once in a while I get to dip and dabble in other things like today. And today we're going to talk about a player that I actually really like. I've been following his journey literally since his draft. That was my first ever working. That was the first ever NHL draft that I got to work. Shout out to the Color of Hockey. This was their blog days before connecting with NHL, which now Color of Hockey, I believe, goes out on Mondays. So go check that out by Bill Douglas. But we're going to talk Keandre Miller. Now, this is someone I've mentioned before for our everydayers and OGers. If you listen to the show, you've probably heard me mention Keandre Miller, even with John Chick, who is our Locked On New York Rangers host. We've talked about Keandre Miller. So, this is this is a person of interest for me personally. Also, hashtag Team More Melanin. Always love that. But is Keandre Miller a good fit for the Seattle Kraken? Probably not. Okay, here's what we know. John, again, our host of Locked On New York Rangers, we've done squadcasts before. He talked about this about a week ago. Elliot Friedman has been talking about it. And within the last day or so, within the last 24 hours, the Keandre Miller trade rumor mill has been churning, and the Seattle Kraken has popped up a few times as a potential place for Keandre Miller to land. This is what Bleacher Report had to say. Things have not gone smoothly for the Seattle Kraken since entering the NHL. That has nothing to do with Keandre Miller, but that is a fact. All right, let's get into what they're talking about here. I'm not going to read the whole thing. They have some salary cap flexibility, they have a need, and they have plenty of draft capital over the next few years. Miller could arrive in Seattle and immediately be one of its best all-around defensemen and bring some much-needed mobility and offensive upside. Okay, let's talk about this. I feel like for those who are on social media, this is how my guy Good Trouble, he's the one, wears his cap usually backwards, got glasses, mustache. I think he might be a Boston guy, definitely New England or Northeast. And he holds his microphone like this. First of all, I don't usually hold the microphone. I have a stand actually. This is very random, but I feel strongly about this. Because it's a lapel mic. You're not supposed to hold these mics, or you got the people that hold it like this, like they're about to bite into it. You're not supposed to do that. But I was feeling very Good Trouble, and then he's always moving his hands like this, and he's got his accent, and then he says some things in Spanish that I'm not going to repeat because I might get fired. Anyway, this is my shout out to Good Trouble. If you know the account, then you know. Good Trouble. All right, back to Keandre Miller. This is what I like about what Bleacher Report is saying here. Good Trouble, handheld microphone. Much needed mobility. I love that. Offensive upside. We're going to talk about that. Could be the best all-around defenseman. One of the best all-around defensemen. Okay, We have some salary cap. We have plenty of draft capital. Talked about it on yesterday's episode. Jason Botterill has basically confirmed what we already knew had to happen. And what I have been asking to happen for years is that we make some moves in the offseason. I cannot stand another quiet or, single day excitement when it comes to free agency for the Seattle Kraken. So even the fact that we're talking about this, I love. Keandre Miller. What do we know about the guy? This is another report from Athlon Sports. The Star ranked 50th out of 214 defenders who logged at least 500 minutes of ice time by being on the ice for 2.78 goals per 60 minutes, just in case. Could instantly spark the defensive unit of the team, even with him having a down season. So what are Keandre Miller's numbers? The highest, his peak as far as points, came in 2022-23, 43 points, 9 goals, 34 assists. That was his highest tally in both categories. Last year, 7 goals, 20 assists. And, his rookie year, 5 goals, 7 assists for 12 points, by far his lowest production. How does that measure up, especially because he would be operating on the left side? I've got my handy dandy hotel issued notebook here. We've got Jamie Alexiak, Josh Mahura, and Vince Dunn that play on the left side. I'm just going to talk about points. Keandre Miller, among this group, would rank per last year in points alone. He would rank second in points behind, did you say it out loud? Did you guess? The one and only Vince Dunn. 39 points in a season where he was hurt. Just want to put that out there. Jamie Alexiak, 17 points. Josh Mahura, 9 points. Now, here's the thing about Josh Mahura. We talked about this on the last episode. We just signed him to a 2-year contract. Talking about Dunn, I mentioned it a little bit yesterday. Maybe it's time to part ways, or similarly to what we're hearing with the New York Rangers, test the waters, right, with Vince Dunn. I don't know. If you listen to John Chick again, I'll link this in the show notes. His episode about, a week ago. So, or a little, 5 days, not a full 7-day week. Anyway, what he's saying is if there's a move, which he's more leaning to, it's going to be a short-term deal with the Rangers. But if there's a move, he's thinking, got to get a first or second rounder. Even though this is a Keandre Miller who, from the Rangers fan base, has been inconsistent, has seemed a little bit checked out. John talks about not really liking that. If he knows he's, in an RFA year, seeing this depletion, all this time, I was talking without my sidebar. I apologize. Doesn't feel good for the Rangers that he's had a down year. Well, you know who else wasn't particularly fond of the New York Rangers at the top of the 24-25 season, then came to Seattle and opened up his game, opened up his confidence? Capo Caco. So maybe it's just New York. I mean, even I had to leave New York. I have not quite gotten to Seattle yet. But the point is, change of scenery. There's a Sheryl Crow song I'm not going to sing tonight. But the lyrics are, a bit of change can do you good. Is this the right move, though, to bring him to Seattle? Could we give a first rounder? Could we give a second rounder? In 2025, we have our true pick in the first round, and then we have 2 picks in the second round. In 26, we have 2 picks in the first round and 1 in the second round. In 27, we have 2 picks in the first round, 2 picks in the second round. Again, we talked about this yesterday, just a scotch under 20 million in cap space. John Chick thinking that Keandre Miller is probably going to want $5 million per season. Is that something that the Kraken want to pay out? It's not a 7-7. John does not want a long-term deal for Keandre Miller. Keandre, 26, 25, 26. So he could fit in with the young core, perhaps the up on the come up. And if Lane Lambert is good at developing young talent, he's got a knack for defense. Could that be the jolt that a player like Keandre Miller needs? For me, the reason why I'm kind of like, even though I would like to see it, I don't know. You don't get rid of Vince Dunn, right? They just signed Mahura. Keandre Miller, just looking at points from last season, would be an upgrade for Mahura. But if you're going to get Miller, then why would you sign Mahura? Unless somebody else is off the board. Probably Jamie Alexiak. I don't think it's going to be Vince Dunn. But Jamie Alexiak, UFA next year, and comes in at $4.6 million. Let me know in the comments, what do you think? Keandre Miller, yay. My thumb is up for those listening on audio. Nay, my thumb is now down for those listening on audio. Or maybe, are you indifferent? Are you just going to wait it out? Let me know in the comments. You know, I love reading the comments on YouTube, especially. I'm doing the good trouble, grip here. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this. I think it's likely not going to happen. I do think that the Rangers probably want to see if they can squeeze a little bit more out of Keandre Miller. That, of course, is dangerous because then does the trade value get impacted? I don't know. If he has an outstanding season, what does that look like? So I don't know. Let me know what you think. Keandre Miller. I don't know. I'm leaning towards no, though. Because then why get Mahura? Unless, of course, you're going to move Alexiak or Dunn. These numbers tell me it's probably Alexiak. And the thing about Miller is he can give you some size. He gives you better mobility and speed than Alexiak. So I don't know. Maybe now I'm talking myself into it. Coming up on today's episode, though, I teased this a little bit. I was like, come on. We heard that emergency podcast about Lane Lambert, and we only heard from the fellas. Well, I have some clips from New Day Northwest that are celebrating the women of the Seattle Kraken. And although they do have a clip from our broadcast team, Linda Cohn, Piper Shaw, and the amazing Allison Lucan, super duper friend of the show, of the podcast, I'm actually going to save that one for a different time. I want you to hear from Sam Holloway and a little bit about her journey and coming to the Kraken and things of that nature. We'll close the episode with the first, it's technically 2. The first 2 signings for PWHL Seattle. That's coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. Today's episode of Locked On Kraken, once again brought to you by our friends at Wonderful Pistachio. Are you looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and the better for you unsaturated fats to help you feel fuller for longer. Now, they have the shell, the Sun's shell, the no shell version, or of course, you can crack into that goodness, crack open a good shell, and enjoy your Wonderful Pistachios. Either way, it's a snack that you can pack, take it on the go. You're dropping your little ones off. you are moving around, flying, going to the gym, the grab and go ease everyone loves. So get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. I want to thank you, as always, for making Locked On Kraken a part of your daily destination, whether it's your first listen of the day, somewhere in between, or maybe your last listen as you're winding down. We appreciate you so, so very much. Again, Erica L. Ayala here, your host of Locked On Kraken in Oklahoma City. Do you know I am a stone's throw away from where they're going to play game 1 tomorrow of the NBA Finals? I know some Seattle folks might feel some kind of way that Oklahoma City is in the NBA playoffs, but it is what it is. Stanley Cup final, overtime, 4-3 win, Edmonton Oilers. Are you keeping up with that? You can check out our Locked On NHL Game Night show if you want more from there. Let's, though, take you to an interesting conversation with Sam Holloway, member of our Seattle Kraken ownership group. This, of course, is where we're getting the as soon as possible timeline from. But this is an interesting segment. It was an hour-long segment with Kelly Hansen of New Day Northwest, part of our Tegna and King 5 family. And she got to sit down with Sam Holloway, talk a little bit about her family and the legacy, of course, of her late father, how she got into ice hockey, and how her endeavors prior to coming to the Seattle Kraken actually help her in what her day-to-day role is. So Kelly Hansen, thank you so much for a great job talking to all or a decent amount of the women of the Seattle Kraken, including a member of our ownership group, Sam Holloway. Here's that interview.
So how did you end up owning a hockey team?
Yeah, so I have a psychology and tech background. I was living in Denver for a long time, building a tech company. And my father actually was the founding owner of the Seattle Kraken and a major impetus behind redoing Climate Pledge Arena, a big partner there. He went to UW, the big Seattle roots. And at the end of his career, that was an exciting challenge for him. And I came in as an investor and partner with him, but was, building my company. And it took a few years after that for me to switch gears and move out here.
Wow, amazing. And what was your relationship to sports prior to obviously coming with the Kraken?
Yeah, so I've been a lifelong sports fan. I played sports.
Okay, what sports?
I played softball and basketball.
Awesome.
And I've loved many different teams over the years. So big fan. Always traveling to see games. And but I was mainly a fan, so not on the business side.
Cool. Okay. And then your role with the Kraken was, more peripheral before first. So talk to me about your decision to become more involved then with the team.
Yeah, so, at the beginning, I became a minority investor and, again, came to meetings, but I was really prioritizing my own company that I co-founded. But when we sold it in 2020, it was really time for a new challenge and to switch gears. COVID happened, and so it was an opportunity to work with my father on something, and he did pass away this fall, so I got the opportunity, thank you, to move here about 3 years ago and do it with him and take over from a leadership perspective.
That's got to be so special to have that time. That's awesome. And I imagine there's probably a lot to learn in this role too. So how have you tackled learning the different pieces that comes with this?
Yeah, so, at the end of the day, it's a business, and there's a lot of different people to manage, and I have a lot of experience with that. It's different than selling software, certainly, and so basically it took the first 6-12 months to just get in the weeds, making sure I spoke to everyone in the organization, from the hockey side to the front office to all the operations at the arena and here at the Iceplex down in Coachella Valley. So it's not that it's overly complicated. There's just a lot going on, lots of revenue streams, and lots of exciting stuff to do, with our foundation as well. So it's just that there are a lot of moving pieces, and it took time to get in the weeds, and now I can focus from a macro level.
That's awesome. But like you said, similarities too, obviously, with your background.
They're people at the end of the day, right?
Exactly. Okay, and being here and seeing all the ways that women play a part of this team has been really eye-opening and exciting for us today. And it really doesn't feel like an accident. So why is inclusivity so important to you?
Yeah, so, I think sports is one of the last inclusive things you can go see, at the moment in the world. And it's a place where people have hope and excitement, and people from all walks of life come together. And there's a lot of women that watch hockey, a lot of girls,
There are.
We want to reflect our fan base. We want to reflect the city of Seattle and the broader market. And so we need different perspectives, and that certainly includes women.
Definitely. We're all fans, okay? I'm a big fan. You also launched the Kraken Hockey Network this year. So what's the next big thing for the Kraken, would you say?
So feels like there's a new big thing every day. We're doing so much over here. It's really exciting. It's moving quickly. And to get out into the market and expand like this has been a tremendous opportunity. So the next big thing, with no big announcement today, I will tease that we are focusing a lot on fan engagement and the customer experience at the arena and access to seeing the sport. And we're continuing to listen to everybody and get feedback and roll out new things to help with that fan experience and broaden the fan base.
Well, thank you for that tease. We appreciate it. And you also lead the ownership group hoping to bring an NBA team back to Seattle. So I want to talk about that a little if we can. Is there any movement on that front?
So as of today, there is no movement on that front. So, listen, we have a great arena. We have a great group. This is an amazing market for sports and for basketball. Obviously, the Storm are great, and people will explode if an NBA team comes. But we will take the lead from the NBA when they are ready to expand, and then we can talk more about it.
Definitely. Well, you kind of touched on this, but are there any other lessons that you could tell the viewers about from launching the Kraken that would help, if the Sonics were to come back? Is there any lessons that you've learned?
Certainly. I think one, we've shown that we can launch an expansion team and build something from the ground up with authenticity, and that gives back to the market and serves the fans. But I think we've certainly learned a lot along the way, from training centers to launching and fans, and I think all of it's applicable, and if given the opportunity, they will be great lessons learned.
Amazing. What's been your most fun memory that you can talk about so far with the Kraken?
Wow. There's so many different memories, and I think you have to separate your emotions as an owner because there's so many ups and downs and wins and losses, but we are coming off an amazing win last night, and
I know.
So I think that living in the moment, when I have my fan hat on is really important, and thinking more long term when I have my ownership hat on. But I still think if I had to point to one thing, it's the first game ever at Climate Pledge Arena. Best moment. My whole family was there, and my dad was really proud, and that was a great moment for us.
Wow, what a great family moment. Thank you so much. I know you're very busy. We so appreciate you.
Appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
So there's Sam Holloway. Again, nothing specific to what we're going to be talking about in the off season, except for maybe the Seattle Supersonics potentially coming. Sam and the Seattle Kraken have been involved in getting PWHL Seattle, who will play at Climate Pledge Arena, and already has a few stars lined up. We are going to talk about PWHL Seattle coming up on today's episode of Locked On Kraken. All right. The Seattle Supersonics, are they coming back? Yeah, everyone says yes. It's just a matter of time. We heard from Sam Holloway in the last segment there, just waiting on the NBA to be ready, and then the ownership group for the Seattle Kraken have been pretty active and seem to be ready to lead the charge. Speaking of the charge, see what I did there? From the Ottawa Charge, The PWHL Seattle franchise has picked up Danielle Serdachny, 5'9", scored 22 goals, 61 points in 40 games with Colgate in her final year, was a second team All-American, NCAA second team All-American, and a Patty Kazmaier Award finalist. She, with the Ottawa Charge this past season, scored 8 points in 30 games with Ottawa, mostly a depth player. Again, this is an expansion draft. Can Serdachny light the lamp a little bit more in a new location? We will find out. But Serdachny, not the only one coming to Seattle. We've talked about this, certainly on the Women's Hockey Report. I've alluded to it here at Locked On Kraken. And it is your Olympic gold medalist, Hilary Knight, signs a 1-year contract. She is a Billie Jean King MVP award finalist in the PWHL, first player to join PWHL Seattle. And here is what Hilary Knight has to say about coming to the Emerald City. I'm incredibly proud to be part of bringing professional women's hockey to the Pacific Northwest. Seattle holds a special place in my heart, and I'm beyond excited to join PWHL Seattle in such a storied sports city. I'm grateful to Megan Turner, our GM of PWHL Seattle, for believing in me and bringing me on board as part of this new chapter. To my teammates, the staff, and fans of Boston, thank you. The Fleet wasn't just a team, it was home. These past 2 seasons were some of the most meaningful of my career, and I'll carry those memories with me forever. Forever. I'm not saying Hilary didn't give it the Sandlot forever. I'm not saying that she did. I'm not saying that she didn't. I'm just saying I certainly did. Anyway, all right. Not the strongest season for Hilary Knight in the inaugural season. However, crushed it this year. Almost criminal that someone who had such a great offensive output didn't get to see the PWHL finals, but them's the breaks, right? So ended up tied for the league lead with 29 points, 15 goals, 14 assists in 13 games, finished tied for second in goals. So there you go. Did make it to the Walter Cup finals last year, even though it wasn't a great offensive year for Knight herself. Signing Hilary Knight was an absolute no-brainer. She's the heartbeat of any team she joins. That's coming from our GM, Megan Turner. Her proven leadership and drive, the way she elevates everyone around her, those are qualities you cannot teach. Hilary's not just a game changer on the ice. She's the kind of person who defines a culture, and we're incredibly proud to have her as the first ever player to join PWHL Seattle. If you want to know more about the moves that have been made, you got to listen to the Women's Hockey Report. Rachel Donner and I are your hosts there. Now that show will be posting on Saturdays now that we are in the off season. We had a few bonus episodes when we got to the finals, but we're going to go back to our regular schedule there. I'm just saying, Claire Thompson, Sophie Jakes, those are players I talked about on yesterday's episode. Hey, they're signed. Obviously not to PWHL Seattle, but my instincts were right. Sarah Nurse, another player, Emirates Mashmeyer. So I guess I kind of already spoiled it, but there will be more signings and more updates. But Vancouver can only pick one more in this, exclusive window, I should say, before the expansion draft, which will take place on Monday, June 9th. So we're going to get you ready for all of that. Hey, be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. And as always, we hold fast. We stay true, and loud and proud we say, let's go Kraken. I point to me, will catch you, point to the camera on the next episode. For those on audio, I did the oppo, so that's why I had to make sure I talked myself through it and did the right thing. All right, that is the episode. Thanks as always for tapping in, for our everydayers, for our OGers. If you haven't already, go check out Locked On NHL Game Night. And of course, the Women's Hockey Report we'll have a brand new episode on Saturday. You're not going to want to miss it. Until then, peace out, everybody. I love you. I appreciate you. I'll catch you soon.